There's something different about people who fix things instead of replacing them. Maybe it's the way they approach problems with resourcefulness instead of surrender. Maybe it's how they see potential where others see garbage. Maybe it's that they understand mastery comes from wrestling with broken things. Because fixing instead of replacing didn't just mean you were thrifty or stubborn. It forged a specific type of psychological competence that experts are only now beginning to understand. And by the end of this video, you're going to see why this practice created some of the most capable people alive today. Let's start with something most people get completely wrong. Modern psychology assumes convenience reduces stress and increases life satisfaction. But people who repair things prove that theory dead wrong. Picture yourself as a 12-year-old in 1982, and your bike chain has snapped. Your parents aren't driving you to the store to buy a new one. There's no Amazon Prime delivering one tomorrow. So you're in the garage with your father, who's showing you how to use the chain tool, how to find the master link, how to thread it back through the derailleur. Your hands are covered in grease. It takes 40 minutes and 3 failed attempts, but when you finally ride that bike again, it's not just transportation anymore. It's proof that you can solve problems, that broken things aren't trash, that your hands and brain together can restore function to the world. And that lesson will serve you for the next 50 years.
Picture this. Sunday morning, 1979. You're 10 years old, and the toaster stops working. Your mother doesn't throw it away. She unscrews the bottom panel, and you watch her clean years of crumb buildup, examine the heating element, and bend a contact back into place. This wasn't about saving $12. It was learning that failure usually has a cause. You learned that most problems are solvable, that things break in understandable ways, that diagnosis comes before replacement. Psychologists call this developing internal locus of control through mechanical problem solving. But for you, it was just fixing the toaster. Here's what's remarkable. You were building confidence through small victories over entropy. Broken things responded to effort and intelligence, not just money. Kids today watch their parents order new toasters on their phones without ever asking why the old one stopped. They've learned objects are black boxes that either work or don't. But you learned things have insides worth understanding. This wasn't stubbornness, it was curiosity.
Picture this. Saturday morning, 1984. Your father's lawnmower won't start. You're 13 and you spend 3 hours with him, checking the spark plug, draining old gas, cleaning the carburetor with a toothbrush and solvent. When it finally roars to life, you feel like a mechanical genius. This wasn't child labor, it was training in delayed gratification with mechanical systems. You learn that complex problems require methodical approaches, that patience reveals solutions, that frustration is part of the process, not a reason to quit. Neuroscientists call this building frustration tolerance through incremental problem solving. But for you, it was just helping Dad. Here's what's remarkable. You were developing systematic thinking while covered in grease and grass clippings. You learned to hypothesize, test, adjust, and repeat. Modern kids grow up in homes where broken lawnmowers get hauled away and replaced. They've learned mechanical failure means disposal because we decided troubleshooting was too time-consuming. But you learned persistence pays off. This wasn't suffering, it was education.
Picture this. You're 14 in 1977, and your transistor radio stopped working. Your uncle shows you how to open it, how to trace the circuit with a multimeter, how to resolder a cold joint. You burn your finger on the iron. You do it anyway. This wasn't just repair, it was learning that fear shouldn't stop you from trying. You learned that tools extend your capabilities, that pain teaches respect, that failure is information, not identity. Psychologists call this stress inoculation through graduated risk exposure, but for you, it was just wanting your radio back. Here's what's remarkable. You were building self-efficacy through direct manipulation of your environment. You didn't need an expert, you became one. Today's kids face broken electronics that are deliberately designed to be unrepairable, sealed with specialized screws, bound with adhesive. They've learned repair is impossible because manufacturers decided planned obsolescence was profitable. But you learned everything could be opened. This wasn't recklessness, it was agency. Picture this, 1981. You're 15, and your favorite jeans have torn at the knee. Your mother teaches you to patch them, not with an iron-on patch, but with actual needle and thread, reinforcing the tear so it's stronger than before. This wasn't poverty fashion, it was understanding that attachment has value. You learned that things you care about deserve preservation, that repair creates history, that visible mending tells a story. Neuroscientists call this developing emotional attachment through investment of labor. But for you, it was just keeping your favorite jeans. Here's what's remarkable. You were learning that effort increases value. Those jeans meant more after you repaired them. The patch was proof you cared enough to try. Kids today throw away clothes with minor damage, conditioned by fast fashion to see everything as disposable. They've learned nothing is worth repairing because we decided replacement was easier than maintenance. But you learned care shows through mending. This wasn't deprivation, it was relationship. Picture this. You're 16 in 1985, and your father brings home a battered desk from a garage sale. The veneer is peeling, the drawers stick, it looks like trash. But he shows you how to strip it, sand it, restain it. It takes 3 weekends. This wasn't just a project, it was learning to see potential beneath damage. You learned that surface condition doesn't determine worth, that transformation requires time and vision, that beautiful things often hide under ugly exteriors. Psychologists call this developing delayed gratification through long-term project commitment. But for you, it was making something beautiful. Here's what's remarkable. You were building the capacity to envision outcomes that don't exist yet, to see past the present state to possible futures. Modern consumers buy flat-pack furniture designed to last 3 years, then replace it with more flat-pack furniture. They've learned quality is expensive and repair is impossible because we decided disposability was democratic. But you learned creation beats consumption. This wasn't snobbery, it was craft. Picture this. You're 17 in 1978, and your first car is a piece of junk. But it's your piece of junk. You learned to change the oil, replace brake pads, adjust the carburetor. Your hands are permanently stained with grease. This wasn't just about transportation, it was understanding that ownership includes responsibility. You learned that maintaining things prevents catastrophic failure, that small efforts compound, that neglect has consequences you can't outsource. Neuroscientists call this building executive function through predictive maintenance behavior. But for you, it was just keeping your car running. Here's what's remarkable. You were developing long-term thinking through immediate physical feedback. Skip an oil change and the engine dies. Maintenance mattered. Today's kids lease cars that get serviced by dealers, never opening the hood, never understanding what's happening underneath. They've learned cars are appliances that professionals handle because we decided mechanical knowledge was obsolete, but you learned competence. This wasn't obsession, it was stewardship. Picture this, 1983, you're 12 and your little brother's favorite toy breaks. He's crying. Your parents say it's trash, but you take it to your room, figure out the mechanism, and glue it back together. His face when you return it, working, is everything. This wasn't about the toy, it was learning that you can be someone's hero with just efforts and care. You learned that repair is generous, that fixing things for others builds connection, that capability is a form of love. Psychologists call this developing pro-social behavior through applied competence, but for you, it was just helping your brother.
Here's what's remarkable. You were building identity as someone who solves problems for others, someone people come to when things break, someone who doesn't give up. Kids today grow up watching parents immediately replace broken toys, teaching that nothing is precious enough to save. They've learned objects are interchangeable because we decided sentiment was irrational, but you learned that fixing things matters to people. This wasn't showing off, it was caring.
Picture this. You're 14 in 1980. In your history textbook, spine has disintegrated. The school will charge you for a replacement, so you watch your father show you how to re-glue it, clamp it, reinforce it with tape in patience. This wasn't just saving money. It was learning that official channels aren't the only solution. You learned that problems have multiple approaches, that creativity beats bureaucracy, that rules exist in context, not as absolutes. Psychologists call this building cognitive flexibility through alternative solution generation, but for you, it was avoiding a fine. Here's what's remarkable. You were developing the mindset that systems can be worked around, that official solutions aren't always best, that ingenuity matters. Modern students immediately report damaged materials and receive replacements, never learning to problem solve outside prescribed channels. They've learned systems are rigid because we decided independence was dangerous, but you learned to navigate around obstacles. This wasn't cheating, it was resourcefulness. Picture this. It's 2010. You're 45 years old and your dryer stops heating. The repair company quotes $400, so you search YouTube, watch 3 tutorials, order a $15 heating element, and fix it yourself. This wasn't technophobia, it was proving old skills transfer to new tools. You learned that your mechanical intuition still works, that the internet democratized expertise, that the approach, diagnose, research, attempt, remains valid. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity through skill adaptation across decades, but for you, it was just fixing the dryer. Here's what's remarkable. You brought childhood lessons into adulthood seamlessly. The confidence you built at 12 still serves you at 45. Younger people in the same situation call repair services immediately, never questioning whether they could do it themselves. They've learned expertise is something you hire because we decided DIY was quaint, but you learned to try first. This wasn't arrogance, it was continuity.